While the outcomes of the games might not suggest it, the NFL is a league that is largely built on certainty. We know Patrick Mahomes is elite and certain rookies are going to be busts, but what about the players who exist in that gray area that is inconsistency and mediocrity? The ones who flash brilliance one week, then vanish the very next. The ones who look like a stud one year, and then make you question everything you thought you knew about evaluating talent the next. Well, here are 10 players that no one knows if they're actually good, that have left coaches, analysts, and fans alike asking the same question. Are they actually good, or are we all just fooling ourselves? So, without further ado, let's dive right into it. Sam Darnold, QB, Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold's career has been a masterclass in confusing, well, just about everyone. The third overall pick in 2018 spent years bouncing between the Jets, Panthers, and 49ers, racking up the resume of a journeyman backup. And then came 2024. Playing for the Vikings, Darnold exploded for 4,319 yards and 35 touchdowns, earning his first Pro Bowl nod and leading Minnesota to a 14-3 record. He became the first quarterback to achieve 14 wins in his first season with the team. Suddenly, the former bust looked like a franchise savior, until he crumbled in Week 18 and in their first-round playoff exit. In 2025, Darnold is in Seattle after the Vikings let him walk. Over 9 games, he has posted a 7-2 record with 2,262 yards and 17 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. His 71.1% completion rate leads the NFL. But again, he's fallen apart in high-leverage situations, most recently in Week 11 against the Rams. So what's the problem? Nobody knows if 2024 was the real Sam Darnold or if he had just the season of his life in the perfect offensive system. He's in his 7th year now, and the league is still trying to figure out who he actually is, and if he's actually good enough to be a franchise quarterback. Bryce Young, QB, Carolina Panthers. The first overall pick in 2023 has given Panthers fans whiplash, and it is getting harder to tell whether he's a legitimate franchise quarterback or just a talented player riding emotional highs and lows from week to week. He had one of the worst rookie seasons in recent memory, and last year looked like more of the same, until he's finally started to pull it together down the stretch. This season, while somewhat promising, has also been wildly inconsistent. The Panthers started with a 30-0 blowout win, then immediately followed it with a 29-point loss. They strung together 3 straight victories, then got blown out again. They're 6-5 despite playing like 3 different teams depending on the week, which takes us to Week 11 of this season, where Young threw for a career-high 448 yards against the Falcons, breaking Cam Newton's franchise record of 432 yards set back in 2011. He played through a heavily taped ankle and led Carolina to a 30-27 overtime comeback win. It was the kind of performance that makes you believe. The Panthers sit just a game and a half out of the playoff race, which sounds promising until you realize it's mostly because nobody knows which version of this team or this quarterback will show up on Sunday, and thus if they'll be able to sustain it down the stretch. Jordan Love, QB, Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love's contract extension raised some eyebrows for a reason. The Packers committed 4 years and $220 million to a quarterback who, according to his own fans, is extremely inconsistent. The question everyone's asking in Green Bay, is he actually worth it? At times, he looks like an MVP candidate, but then, at least once a game, he misses a wide-open receiver or throws a terrible interception. It's a real exercise in faith rooting for Love, and this version of the Packers really, namely because of how badly he struggles with ball placement and decision-making at times. The turnovers have become his Achilles heel, and are driving fans and the team's brass mad because he's talented enough to lead the Packers to decisive victories over playoff teams, yet inconsistent enough to lose to the Browns and play out ties against teams that they should beat. Green Bay bet big that Love would figure it out. After 11 weeks of 2025, well, that answer remains unclear. Caleb Williams, QB, Chicago Bears. What a trip the Caleb Williams experience has been already. The USC product now owns the record for most fourth-quarter comebacks through a quarterback's first 2 seasons with 7. And with his most recent exhibition of late-game heroics against the Vikings, he set the Chicago Bears single-season franchise record for fourth-quarter comebacks. But with how inconsistent the Bears have been since he went under center, there is reason to fear that there is an uncomfortable truth lurking behind those heroics. He could either be a clutch playmaker or just a struggling quarterback getting bailed out by fourth quarters. Williams posted a negative 69.4 quarterback quarterback EPA in his rookie season, ranking 35th among qualified quarterbacks, ahead of only Will Levis, and he took a league-high 68 sacks. Not exactly the kind of resume that screams franchise quarterback, regardless of what his clutch time tape looks like. That said, the first overall pick in 2024 has undeniable talent. The arm is electric, and he's super athletic. Not to mention, he set the NFL rookie record with 353 consecutive passes without an interception. But the variance is staggering. He's either engineering miraculous comebacks or putting his team in position to need them in the first place. That's not sustainable quarterback play, and it's why nobody can agree on what Caleb Williams actually is. Kenneth Walker III, RB, Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker III rushed for over 1,000 yards as a rookie, joining Kurt Warner as the only player in Seahawks franchise history to hit that mark in their first season. The 41st overall pick in 2022 was explosive, decisive, and looked like the kind of back who could carry an offense for years to come. 3 years later, Seattle is still trying to figure it out, if he's actually a featured back or just a committee player who can't find the end zone when it matters. The Seahawks keep giving him the ball, but the performance just isn't consistent. Look at his stats thus far in 2025. 606 rushing yards over 10 games at 4.5 yards per carry. 120 carries through 9 games, leading the team. But from week 4 through week 9, he went 6 straight games without a touchdown. Not one. Meanwhile, backup running back Zach Charbonnet and George Halani were both finding the end zone. So what's the problem? The production just does not match the volume. He's averaging over 20 yards per reception when they actually throw to him, but his limited involvement in the passing game caps his ceiling. When he finally scored against the Rams in week 11, it was the team's only offensive touchdown, albeit in a losing effort. Seattle clearly wants Walker in their offense, but they seem hesitant to really feature him as the guy in that backfield. And as a result, we can't make heads or tails of how good he really is. Jameson Williams, WR, Detroit Lions. Man, what a difference 5 months makes. Remember when the Detroit Lions signed Jameson Williams to a 3-year, $83 million extension? A massive vote of confidence in the 12th overall pick from 2022, who is coming off his first 1,000-yard season with 8 touchdowns. The case was very strong too. On top of a career year, he is a dynamic deep threat with world-class speed, the kind of weapon every offense dreams about. Then the 2025 season started, and his production just completely cratered. Over 7 games, he had 17 catches for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was held to 2 or fewer receptions in 5 of those 7 contests. The talent is very obvious. His last 2 games showed 10 catches for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the inconsistency is very frustrating, especially with Detroit trying to make a Super Bowl run. The Lions locked him up long-term based on what he did in 2024, and now they're stuck hoping 2025 is the outlier, not the trend. Because if it's the trend, oof, they just committed $83 million to a player that is impossible to get a read on. Nick Bonito, edge, Denver Broncos. Here's the Nick Bonito problem in a nutshell. Over the first 5 games of 2025, he terrorized quarterbacks, racking up 8 sacks and establishing himself as one of the league's most dangerous edge rushers. Denver looked like they had a legitimate star on their hands, but then he vanished. For 3 straight weeks from week 7 through week 9, Bonito didn't record a single sack. Not one. He managed just 4 total tackles across those games, essentially becoming invisible on the stat sheet. The snap count declined during that slump, and suddenly everyone was asking questions about his conditioning, his role, and whether Denver could actually count on him. This matters because the Broncos are headed to the playoffs and have a Super Bowl contending squad for the first time in years. They desperately need their pass rush to show up when it counts. He finally broke through with 1.5 sacks against the Raiders in week 10, but the damage was done, as we've seen his snaps continue to decrease. Yes, he's coming off a career year. He's impressive on paper, and he has his moments on tape. But nobody watching whistle-to-whistle Bronco games knows which version they're getting week to week, or how good he really is. Aziz Ojulari, edge, Philadelphia Eagles. Man, what a journey this has been. Aziz Ojulari set the Giants' rookie sack record with 8 in 2021. The 50th overall pick, looking like an absolute steal. He had burst, he had bend, he had all the tools that you want in a pass rusher. Then his body betrayed him. Over the next 3 seasons, after that promising rookie year, he missed 22 games. Hamstrings, ankles, calves, toe ligaments, you name it. Ojulari injured it. The 2024 season encapsulated his entire career. 6 sacks and 28 tackles over 11 games before a torn ligament in his big toe ended his year. New York let him walk, and Philadelphia signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal, a prove-it contract if there ever was one. Because the scouting report is brutally be honest. He is weak against the run, really a one-trick pony, and struggles to stay on the field injury-wise. That said, 22 sacks in 46 career games shows the potential is very real. But then again, missing nearly half a season's worth of games over 3 years shows that availability issues are equally real. Justin Herbert, QB, Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert, the 6th overall pick in the 2020 draft out of Oregon. He can make every throw on the field, and then some. That arm talent is undeniable. And on paper, he looks like everything you'll want in a franchise quarterback. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When the pressure is on, Herbert and the Chargers completely collapse. His playoff record is 0-2, and in the 2022 wildcard game against Jacksonville, the Chargers blew a 27-0 lead and lost 31-30, the third largest blown lead in NFL playoff history. Then, in the 2024 wildcard game against Houston, Herbert threw 4 interceptions in a humiliating 32-12 loss, becoming the first player in NFL history to throw more picks in a playoff game than in an entire regular season with at least 200 attempts. And it's not just the playoffs either. His demons appear during big regular season games too. The Chargers have had Herbert for 5 years now and have never gone past the first round. So nobody knows for sure how good he is, but 0-2 in the playoffs and a history of embarrassing losses and big moments kinda tells you something. And that something ain't exactly good. Mekhi Becton, OG, Los Angeles Chargers. The 11th overall pick in the 2020 draft was supposed to be the Jets' franchise left tackle. At 6'7" and 363 pounds, Mekhi Becton had the size and athleticism to be a cornerstone. But his time in New York became a bit of a disaster, and injuries derailed him year after year. First, a knee injury in week 1 of 2021 kept him out all season. Then a fractured kneecap in 2022 training camp cost him another full year. When he finally stayed healthy in 2023, he led all offensive tackles with 12 sacks allowed and was among the most penalized linemen in football. Needless to say, no one was shocked when the Jets declined his 5th-year option and let him walk. Then came the resurrection. Philadelphia signed him to a 1-year, $2.75 million prove-it deal in 2024, moved him from tackle to guard, and watched him thrive and help the Eagles win Super Bowl 59 in a blowout over Kansas City. Becton looked reborn. So then the Chargers threw 2 years and $20 million at him in March of 2025, betting that the Eagles version was the real one, only then to see him revert back to Jets form. So, was the Eagles' success a product of elite offensive line coaching? Or did Becton just cash his check and stop caring? Either way, the Chargers are stuck with a player who had one good year sandwiched between years of disappointment. And right now, it is looking like the Eagles season was the outlier, not the trend. But which of these NFL players do you think are actually good? Which ones are bums? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.